So I wanted to come on this video and give like a super crazy rant, sort of like I did in my last video. I went kind of nuts on Nintendo fans because Nintendo fans they irk my soul. And that's coming from somebody who does own Nintendo systems. But I just don't consider myself. Maybe I shouldn't say fan of Nintendo stan. The people that are incapable of being objective when it comes to Nintendo, I just can't stand those fans. And I wanted to do this video and talk about those guys because I find it very hilarious that these guys are um, um, objective when it comes to other devices, but not objective when it comes to Nintendo Switch. So when you hear, the Joy Cons get drift, you hear fanboys go, "Oh well, uh, it's not that bad. You can send your Joy Cons into Nintendo to get fixed, and they'll send it back to you. Or it's not that bad. You could take apart your Joy Con, and there's a fix for it. Or you can blow it out and do all these different things, right?" Nintendo didn't fix the Joy-Con drift, but it's funny when the OG Nintendo Switch was getting hacked, they went out and made a new system and said, "Oh, we're just improving the battery." But what they were actually doing was they were fixing the exploit that would enable people to hack the Nintendo Switch, so that people could not get the Nintendo Switch and do the RCM hack and essentially get their games for free. Nintendo went out and they fixed that, right? Because that was going to cost them money, but they didn't care about the Joy-Con Switch that was affecting the consumer. But nobody cares about that. No one cares about the fact that instead of giving us Nintendo 64 games, GameCube games, Wii U games on our virtual console or our NES Online subscription, or hell, even new games, sort of like the PS4 and Xbox One does, they give us NES and SNES games. The same games they've been giving the 2, 3 generations before us, nonstop for the last 20 years. They're just going to keep giving us them same stupid ass games again and again and again. And then on top of that, they're not even giving the games that people want, because I see that community complaining a lot on Twitter. I don't really look into the online games because I just don't care about NES and SNES titles. I don't. It would be nice to play, DK64, Super Mario 64 without having to buy a $40 collection pack. Super Mario Sunshine without having to buy a $40, $60 collection pack. Um, um, what else? Glover, or if we're talking about GameCube, maybe some Beautiful Joe, things like that. Pokemon Coliseum. These are the different titles that I would like to play on the Nintendo Switch. That would probably appeal more to people in my age group than the people in their 40s and late 30s or whatever. It doesn't appeal to my demographic. I think, and the people that I've talked to feel the same way. But it's funny that Nintendo does that wrong, right? They don't give us games. They don't give us current games. They don't give us games for our generation. With our subscription service, they offer absolutely the worst online out of all the companies. I seen somebody try to say that PlayStation Network is worse than Nintendo Online. It's like, are you on crack? That doesn't make sense. Um, but yeah, I get tired of seeing Nintendo fans turn a blind eye to stuff, and now they want to be super critics when it comes to the Steam Deck, which is hilarious. It's just so many things that you can point out wrong with the Nintendo Switch. The third party support is absolutely garbage. We've gotten more games on the Switch than we did on the Wii U as far as third party, but when you actually take a look at it, it's actually slowing down. Like many people expected when the new consoles would drop. We get our games like a year late or 2 years late, and then they had a nerve to try to drop them for $60 when they've already dropped $30, $40 on other systems. Um, some of the games that's ported, obviously, it's a handheld, so they don't look great. I mean, you play Doom, it's like 450p, 24 frames per second. Wolfenstein runs absolutely terrible on the Switch. Mortal Kombat, the newest one, runs cool. It runs at 60 in handheld, but it's like 200p. I don't know what the hell it is. You can't even make the characters out on the screen half the time when too much is going on. Not even when too much is going on, just in general. The Switch just does a lot wrong, and people turn a blind eye because they say, hey, it's handheld, it's convenient. His handheld is convenient. So when you hear something like the Steam Deck come out, it's super laughable to me that Nintendo fans are actually now wanting to be objective. Now they have a problem with, oh, it only comes with 64 gigs or 32 gigs. I think the base model, I can't remember, and then you can get like 200 and something gigs, and then you can get 512, which I have the 512 gig model, and it has expandable storage. But now people want to complain and say, oh, that's not a storage. What are you gonna do? Blah 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 blah. Yo, when the Switch came out, I'm pretty sure you couldn't fit Zelda Breath of the Wild on there. When the OG Switch came out, I could be wrong. I could look this up. Oh, it may have been the only game you can fit on there or something like that. When the Switch first came out, it didn't have that much storage, and you had to get an SD card. So I don't understand why people are acting like now it's a problem with the Steam Deck when the Nintendo Switch is the exact same scenario. Like, how do you own a Nintendo Switch and go, you know what? this ain't enough space. This ain't enough space on the Steam Deck. I don't like it. The game is gonna be large. Like, are the games not large currently on the Switch? Like, is 2K not 30 something gigs each year on the Switch? Is some of these games not 30, 28? I think LA Noir is like 28, 24 gigs or something like that. Like, these games are rather large on the Switch and won't fit on the Switch without an SD card. So what are you guys talking about? Then when you look at the Steam Deck, it's like, obviously it's better from a hardware standpoint. And people say, oh, well, it's more expensive. The Switch is, $299. I mean, the Switch is $299. The OLED model is like $350, which is $50 shy of a PS4. And I think for the base model, you might be able to get the base model Steam Deck for around that price. Let me look this up. I don't want to lie to you guys. I'm actually gonna look this up. We're not going to edit this out because I don't do much editing for this channel. This is my second channel. I don't really do editing for this channel. But according to this, yeah, the Steam Deck, the base model is going to be 64 gigs, which I'm pretty sure is more than what the OG Nintendo Switch had, and that's $399. And I'm pretty sure that 64 gigs is more than what's going to be in the Nintendo Switch OLED. Let's check it out. Nintendo Switch OLED. Storage. That's what I should have looked up. Storage. It has 64 gigs, so it's the same. So 64 gigs. The OLED is going to be $350, and then this is going to be $399. I should bring it up. Let me bring this up. You guys should be able to see this. Display capture. Let's unhide this. Can I hide that? Display cap. Oh, not display capture. I'm drunk. I meant window capture. Can y'all see that? There we go. You guys can see that. So when you look at this, like, with the Nintendo Switch, $350 versus $399 to get your hands on the PC. I don't know if you guys have ever been in the Steam, console dudes or Nintendo dudes that are complaining about, well, what about my Switch games? The Switch has a better library. I don't know if you guys have actually been inside of Steam. Steam is absolutely ridiculous. It has the largest pool of games in the world, right? There's not a larger platform when it comes to games. You can play games from this generation, last generation, the generation before that. It's just an ever-growing library of games, and they're only going to take games out that lose their licenses. But overall, most of them games are still there. And to be able to play these games on the go is going to be beautiful, especially since I've seen people test out inferior handhelds that have come out that's going to be that's the same product as what the Steam Deck is, just inferior, right? And they're playing some of these games at 60. I think the GPD Win or whatever it's called was playing Grand Theft Auto at 60 frames per second. Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 4, 60 frames per second. It's playing all these games at 60. Yakuza, I think it was playing at 30, which is fine, but that's like an inferior product again. So it's looking like the Steam Deck's going to be playing these games 60 with decent settings, not even low settings, probably medium settings. You're going to play medium settings on a 720 handheld screen, so it's not that big, so the compressed image is going to look good. You're getting all this in this for a similar price to the Nintendo Switch. I think it's a win. I think it's laughable if you have a problem with this. I personally got the 650 edition. That's the one I got. It's a great deal. And I just feel like Nintendo fans, if you're a Nintendo fan poking at this thing and saying, yo, it ain't worth it. I seen one dude, he did a whole video talking about he don't know nothing about it, but he just wanted to bash it, saying it's a bad deal and the Nintendo Switch is pocketable. It's like, bro, first off, usually if I'm gonna carry my system around, it's when I'm traveling or if I'm going to work. So either it's my Switch stays in its travel case, and if I want to play it on my lunch break, it's sitting in the back seat, not in the back seat, like under the seat or whatever. And I pull it out for my lunch break and I play it. I don't carry my Switch around in my damn pocket. Like, what the hell are you talking about? So I would do the same thing with the Steam Deck, even though it's 2 inches larger than the Switch. Who cares? And when I travel, I carry around a really small book bag when I get on the plane, and I pull my Switch out when we board the plane and putting our stuff in the overhead. So I would do the same thing with this. My life doesn't change with a slightly larger handheld. I just don't see the issue. This thing looks beautiful. Beautiful. This is a win, especially if you're somebody who loves technology. This is a win for people who love tech. All right. Screw the fanboy stuff. You want to love Nintendo to the day you die and all that stuff. That's cute and all. But screw the fanboy stuff. This is a plus for tech. And I feel like if you're one of those people who made excuses for Nintendo and Nintendo this, Nintendo that, and you made all these excuses for them and you're paying for online, you don't even have to pay for online to play on this thing. It's PC. PC don't pay for online. And then not only that, you're gonna have access to emulators without having to hack it. Now it runs with Steam OS, but they said you could just switch it to Windows if you want. Now I don't know the process of that because I don't own this, but from the interview they made it seem like it was relatively simple to just switch to Windows. So if it's that easy where I can just log into something and I switch to end up Windows and it downloads Windows and we're running Windows at that point, then I'm gonna do that. I don't need to run Steam OS. And I'm gonna run emulators on top of that. And then on top of running emulators, I'm going to run Game Pass. I'm gonna run the Epic Game Store. I'm gonna run the Steam Store. I'm gonna have all these different platforms on this one device with probably a 1 terabyte SD card. And I probably have two 1 terabyte SD cards, sort of like on my hard drive. And I'll just keep them in my travel case. So I have a terabyte, 2 terabytes worth of games that I can play in my handheld PC at any given time that I want. I think it's a win. I don't see how you can look at this objectively and go, no, I don't see it. I don't see the value. I don't see none of that. This thing is essentially a PS4 in your hands, and it's priced as such. $399 for the base model, $529 for the more expensive model. I think the PS4 was $400. The PS4 Pro was like $450, $500. I don't know. I ended up trading my PS4 to get a PS4 Pro, so I can't remember. But yeah, it's priced fairly. It looks like it's great build quality. Now you can say one thing that I did notice that I was concerned about, but I've been hearing good things about is it's just this layout, right? I think this layout in this top right corner is kind of weird where the button versus analog stick is, but I'm willing to give it a try. I heard that it's comfortable from the people at IGN that play with it. They said it was actually surprisingly comfortable with the weird layout. I think that's my only real concern, to be honest with you. But I like the fact that they got mouse track pads. If you look closely, you got touch pads where you can use it like a mouse and keyboard. Like that's always been a lot of people's issues with mouse and keyboard is they never really. A lot of people don't like using the keyboard. They're cool with the mouse, right? When I first started using mouse and keyboard, I was cool with moving my mouse, but I just absolutely suck using the keyboard to walk around. Now imagine people have an analog stick in the left hand, and then they have the mouse, the trackpad on the right side, and then they still have their triggers on the back of the system, at the top of the system, and they face buttons to use. It's just it opens up a whole new way of gaming that a lot of people don't even realize, and they're not considering, right, when they're talking about this thing. I think this thing is a win. I think it looks beautiful. I am super excited for this. I'm expected to get mine in Q2 of next year. I hope a lot of people that got my model, right, got the $650 model, is like, yo, you know what, can we downgrade? I ain't got $650 in the middle of a pandemic to pay for this. I'm hoping some people do that, or some people just be like, man, I was kind of into the hype. I kind of don't want it no more. I bought another Windows device. I don't want it. But I want this, right? I really want this ASAP, but I'm expecting to get mine in Q2, and I'm hoping that this opens the door, because I'm not going to lie to y'all. Even though I'm buying this, if that Alienware UFO come out and it's less than $1,000, so it's like comparable to this in pricing, which is probably gonna be a little bit more. But if it's comparable to this in pricing, I'm gonna get that UFO as well, because that UFO was fire. I don't know if you remember that. If you get a chance, look up the Alienware UFO handheld. It looks fire. Hold on, actually, I might be able to pull it up for y'all real quick. Let me pull it up for y'all. Alienware UFO handheld. That thing look amazing. Let me just pull up a picture for y'all. Window capture, bring that up real quick. Yo, this thing looked amazing. Like I really messed with this thing. I'm trying to zoom in for you guys so you guys can see it. Hold on, Chief. This looked fire, and it disconnected just like the Switch. And it was just the layout. All of it is just okay, bro. Get out of there. I don't want to do nothing. But you got the LEDs. Now I ain't gonna stunt with the LEDs. I hope you can turn them off, because that's gonna be a battery killer for sure. But if you was worried about the layout of the Steam Deck, I felt like this would have been a perfect medium. The layout is clean. These little Joy-Con-ish things sort of come off. It's dope. I hope that now the Steam Deck's coming out and it has millions of pre-orders, that it opens the floodgates, and now other companies want to put their hat in the game and say, you know what, I want to make a handheld too. I want to drop a handheld, because this concept was super dope. This just does a lot for the industry, in my opinion. I appreciate Valve for doing this. And then for the people, I do want to address this too before I get out. For the people that are talking about, look at Valve's previous releases and they're not going to support this. And I think it's like a picture of the controller, the Steam Deck, not Steam Deck, the Steam something, whatever the little boxes that you stream from. Then they had the VR headset, and then now they have this, and they're like, it's not going to be any different as far as support goes. First off, the first two items I feel you guys on, right? I don't have those items, so I can't really speak to them, but I feel you. They weren't properly supported, I feel you. But when it comes to the VR, if you bought a VR headset for exclusive Valve titles, you are an idiot. All right, that's not what VR is for. VR is just a platform, right? You buy the different VR headsets because of their implementation of virtual reality, right? You had Oculus when it first came out. Oculus had like all those different sensors and 1,000 cables. The Vive was supposed, and they had like the different hand. I have one of those controllers too around here. The Oculus. I got my Oculus headset over here too. It's all the way over there. I ain't gonna go get it. But you got all these different things, right? It's just the platform that you chose to play on. But overall, they all did the same thing. You got it just for VR. You didn't get it for Valve VR. You got it for VR. And the same thing goes for this. You're not getting this handheld for Valve's games. You're getting it to play games from Steam. You're getting it to play all these third-party titles, right? I love our exclusives that we get on the Switch, the PS4, not necessarily the Xbox One. I love our exclusives that we get, but at the same time, let's be realistic. 90% of the games that you play are going to be third party because there's just way too many third party games in comparison to first party games. You're getting a PC platform to do that. So as long as it supports that, what support do you need? I don't get it. If you're running Windows and this thing is going to run on your device, and they find a way to make it to where it just runs games in general, right? It doesn't need patches for every single game. It just runs on this thing in general. I don't see what support you need moving forward. I don't get it. I don't understand people that's trying to make that point and that connection. So leave how you feel in the comment section. I'm not going to continue rambling about it. I just wanted to talk about it, right? Because I've seen a lot of Nintendo fans being super critical of this device, talking so much trash about this device when it's like no hating, right? Objectively speaking, the Nintendo Switch has its issues too. And a lot of the issues that you're attempting to poke at this for, the Nintendo Switch suffers from the same thing. 350 versus something that performs way better, right? 350 to 400, that just shows that the Nintendo Switch should not be priced where it's at. The OLED, to get an OLED screen, should not be $350 when they can make this for $400. It shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be. It's not close to a PS4 in power, so why is it close to a PS4 in price? There's nothing groundbreaking about the hardware in it. The online, the online isn't that great. The third party support isn't great when it is over here. There's a lot of issues. Joy-Con drift. They said that their device, they're confident is not going to drift. Things like that. Is that the Nintendo isn't doing that. If you guys are gonna poke at this, you need to look at Nintendo and say, you know what, I'm tripping. I'm not really being objective. So leave how you feel. You know what I'm saying? If you like the video, leave how you feel in the comment section though. Thank you for your time. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out, Chief.